In 1974, 15-year-old Nancy O'Sullivan disappeared from Homewood, Illinois, leaving a mystery that has haunted her family and community for over 50 years. Despite numerous searches and investigations, no trace of Nancy has ever been found. But the case is far from forgotten. Today, the Homewood Police Department is renewing its efforts, using modern technology and fresh perspectives to seek answers. This is not just a story about a missing girl, but also about a family's hope, a community's determination, and the lingering question, what happened to Nancy O'Sullivan? Nancy O'Sullivan's disappearance rocked the peaceful suburb of Homewood, leaving one with more questions than answers. In the days that followed her disappearance, police and volunteers searched residential areas, swept through adjacent parks, and pursued every lead they could think of. But the trail went cold too fast. Speculation circulated and theories were formed, but nothing tangible ever materialized. For Nancy's family, each ring at the door, each telephone call brought both hope and terror. The neighborhood, too, wrestled with grief, tortured by the possibility that someone in their midst could provide the solution to the puzzle. Years passed, but the pain didn't subside. In the afternoon of March 7, 1974, Nancy O'Sullivan came around South Holland, Illinois, calling on acquaintances and neighbors in her town, where only recently her family had left to live. Though they had relocated to Homewood, nearby, there was still a sense of familiarity in her old neighborhood for Nancy. She was a friendly, outgoing teenager who was comfortable on the streets. She visited a number of homes in the afternoon, visiting acquaintances and friends. It was a normal day, and no one mentioned anything out of the ordinary when they saw her. Subsequently, Nancy was due back home in Homewood, but she never made it. Her disappearance soon raised eyebrows among her family, who knew that it was not typical of her to stay out late and fail to call. They combed the neighborhood, called her friends, and soon called the authorities. The last seen of Nancy was unclear, and nobody could give sure information on her last activities. There was no struggle or distress signal. She just disappeared. The Homewood Police Department immediately launched an investigation when Nancy O'Sullivan disappeared. Officers retraced her last known movements, speaking to friends, neighbors, and anyone who might have seen her on March 7, 1974. They searched local neighborhoods, parks, and surrounding areas, hoping to find any sign of Nancy. Flyers were distributed, and local news outlets reported her story, asking anyone with information to come forward. For Nancy's family, the silence was heartbreaking. Each day without answers made their pain deeper, yet they held on to hope, believing that one day Nancy might return or someone would share vital information. The community felt the burden of the unresolved case, troubled by the question of what happened to the young girl who disappeared without a trace. Over time, the active investigation slowed down. Other cases took priority, and without new evidence, Nancy's disappearance faded into another mystery. Still, her case remained open, never forgotten by her family or the Homewood police. Even as decades passed, the hope for closure endured, with her family and investigators refusing to let Nancy's story fade into history. Years after Nancy O'Sullivan vanished, the Homewood Police Department is reviving efforts to crack the case. At the forefront of this effort is Police Chief Denise McGrath, who has taken it upon herself to uncover the truth. As a longtime resident and officer, McGrath has a strong connection to the community and Nancy's case. She believes that no case is ever too old to be solved and that someone, somewhere, still possesses information that can bring closure. Forensic technology advances have created new avenues. Today's DNA analysis, which was not possible in 1974, provides the promise of retesting old evidence with a fresh perspective. Investigators are also searching national databases and re-interviewing witnesses, hoping that subtle details that were missed may provide new leads. The department has created specific channels for tips, such as a tip line and email, where the public is urged to forward anything they remember, no matter how small the detail. They've also been coordinating with other agencies, cross-referencing missing person cases and unidentified remains across the country. These renewed efforts are motivated by hope and determination. The case is more than 50 years old, but with resources available today and community participation, police feel that it is still possible to get to the bottom of what became of Nancy O'Sullivan. In a renewed effort to seek answers, the Homewood Police Department has issued public pleas, calling on anyone who has information regarding Nancy O'Sullivan's vanishing to contact them. In understanding that memories can wear off, but facts come back to mind, they've stressed that nothing is too minor. An open tip line and email account have been established so that people may more conveniently offer information, even anonymously. Police are also contacting them through local media and community events, hoping to engage longtime residents who may remember something pertinent. They reiterate that technology has improved such that even outdated information may now provide a new lead. Chief Denise McGrath has reinforced the need for participation from the community, reminding the public that sometimes only one piece of information is needed to crack a case. Even after the decades that have elapsed, hope to solve Nancy O'Sullivan's vanishing remains high. Improvements in forensic technology have provided detectives with new means of re-examining evidence, and cases that were previously deemed unsolvable have been solved after years of doubt. Homewood police feel that Nancy's case may be among them. Accounts of other similar cold cases being cracked have rekindled hope in the community and Nancy's family. These instances demonstrate that time does not wipe out the potential for justice, it merely postpones it. Police continue to work with state and national agencies, going through unidentified remains and cross-checking missing person databases. For Nancy's family, closure is ultimately knowing what happened and making sure her story does not end in silence. The community hopes so as well, thinking that with persistence and the backing of the public, the truth will be known. Until that time, the quest for answers and for Nancy continues determined. Nancy O'Sullivan's disappearance has remained a haunting mystery for over 50 years, but the search for answers continues. Every tip and every piece of information could be the key to solving this case and bringing closure to her family. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe for more true crime content that sheds light on forgotten cases. Your support helps keep these stories alive and encourages continued efforts for justice. And remember, if you know anything, no matter how small, reach out. Together, we can help bring answers to those who need them most.